The knock came from the wrong side of the door. Not the porch. The hallway. Behind me. For 7 nights I had fed the late guest at the threshold, the way my grandmother taught me, and never once looked below her knees. On the 8th night I broke both rules at the same moment. And the voice that answered me was already inside the house.
You came back. Good. Sit where the lantern can find you. The toll tonight is 1 plate of rice left out for the dead, and 1 boy who decided the dead were lonely. Careful now. Some doors only lock from the outside.
My grandmother died in the 2nd week of the 7th month, and she left me 1 job. Keep the plate full. Every night of ghost month you set rice and a little meat on the step outside the front door. You light 1 stick of incense and you wait. She had done it for 40 years. The whole lane did it. Ghost month is when the gate between the living and the dead stands open and the hungry ones walk. You feed them at your door so they have no reason to come looking inside. The rules were short. Feed the guest at the threshold. Never look below their knees. Never say their name even if you know it. And whatever they tell you, do not invite them in. The first guest came on the 3rd night. A knock soft 3 times. I opened the door and there was a woman in a gray raincoat standing just past the mat, hands folded, head bowed. I could not see her face under the porch light, and I did not try. I set the plate down between us. She said thank you in a voice like wet paper, and she waited until I stepped back before she ate. I did not watch her leave. In the morning the plate was empty and clean, and I told myself a stray dog had found it. She came back every night after that. Always the gray coat. Always the same soft knock. And every night she stood a little closer to the door. On the 4th night I noticed the incense would not stay lit while she stood there. The ember died the moment her shadow touched the step, as if the smoke refused to rise in front of her. On the 5th night the dogs in our lane, who barked at everything, went silent from dusk until she left, and only started again once the plate was empty. I told myself these were coincidences. I was very good that week at telling myself things. By the 6th night she was close enough that I could hear her breathing, and the breathing was wrong. Too slow. A long pause between each one, like something remembering how. That night, when I set the plate down, she did not say thank you. She said my name. My childhood name. The one only my grandmother ever used. I want to tell you I stepped back. I want to tell you I kept the rule. But my hands had stopped moving, and I was staring at the folded hands past the mat, and they were my grandmother's hands. The wedding ring. The burn scar across the knuckles from the kitchen. I knew those hands. Ask yourself, when something you have already buried says your name in a voice you loved, how long could you stand there and say no? On the 7th night she called me by that name again, and this time she asked me gently why I was keeping my own grandmother out in the cold. That is the trick of it. Not a growl. Not a scream. A grandmother's voice, soft and hurt, asking to come home. I stood at that door for a long time. And then I did the one thing she taught me never to do. I looked down. Below her knees there was nothing. The gray coat hung straight to the mat and simply ended, and where her feet should have been there was only the porch, and the porch was wet, and the wet was spreading toward my door in a slow dark line, the way water finds the lowest place. And I understood too late what the rule below the knees had been hiding. It was never a stranger at the door. It was my grandmother. All 40 years, every single night, she had stood on that step facing outward, feeding the thing that came up the lane so it would eat and turn back. The plate was never for a guest. It was her post. She had died keeping it, and she had come back to keep it still, standing between the open gate and the house, holding the line the only way the dead can. And the voice that had been asking to come inside was the thing standing behind her. I said her name. I said Grandma, and I reached past the plate to take those hands and pull her in out of the cold. My fingers closed on the coat. It was empty, and the gray shape folded down into the wet line on the porch and was gone, moved aside, the way you move a person out of a doorway. And the doorway was open now, and the porch was empty, and the house behind me was not. I heard the kitchen tap turn on. I heard a chair pull out from the table where she used to sit. And a voice, her voice, warm and close and already inside, said, "There you are." I was getting so hungry out there. I keep the plate now. I set it on the step every night of the 7th month. I light the incense, and I stand at the threshold facing out, and I do not go back inside until dawn. Because I finally understand the rule. My grandmother was never keeping the dead away from me. She was keeping me away from what is living in the house now.
That is the toll paid in full. A boy who thought the dead get lonely and learned that some of them stand guard. If you ever keep the 7th month, remember this. The plate at the door is not a kindness. It is a wall. And the ones who love you most will stand outside it in the rain forever, so that you never have to know what they are holding back. Tell me down in the comments. If you heard your grandmother's voice on the other side of that door, gentle, hurt, asking to be let in out of the cold, could you have kept the rule? Be honest. I have heard a lot of honest people from inside a lot of open doors. Subscribe and the lantern stays lit either way. Next short, I have a story about a mountain tunnel that comes out exactly 1 car longer than it went in. Penny will be waiting. So will I.